All right, 3:40, y'all. Hello, happy Friday. Congratulations, you have made it to the end of the week. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four. Of course, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching Before the Four this afternoon, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream, as always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your Friday afternoon here. Now first, let's begin with a look at the forecast for your Memorial Day weekend. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis with the latest on the radar. Brad?
Well, as you go through your Friday evening, it's going to be great out there tonight. No big problems, but we have rain coming in the morning. It may let up during the afternoon. Here's that weekend forecast. Thunder showers tomorrow morning. These will be elevated storm chances. And then Sunday, could see a round of stronger storms coming in from the northwest if we get a complex of storms. And it's always a big if. Again, might see an isolated severe thunderstorm warning or two, but really the threat of severe weather is not going to be all that high. Here's what we're talking about. 7 o'clock Saturday morning, scattered showers, thunder showers dropping south. So the afternoon will probably be a lot better the farther east you are, but still cloudy. Cooler temperatures too, low 70s. And then as we get into Sunday, what we're watching are these complexes of storms that develop off to our northwest and drop southeast, a typical June weather pattern. We saw that earlier this month. So again, when these dive in, they can produce some isolated damaging winds and they can get rough, but they can also drop off south of us like you just saw there in the model guidance. So again, nothing set in stone as far as a severe weather threat this weekend. And even if we get a few isolated severe thunderstorm warnings, I just don't think there's a whole lot to it. Overall, Monday, still looking pretty wet with scattered showers and thunderstorms. Now, those will continue probably into Tuesday. Live look at Huntsville right now. Traffic is going to be heavy. A lot of people getting out of town. Current temperatures in the mid 70s. We'll take a complete look at your forecast coming up at 4, 5, and 6.
And also, you all know the drill. First Alert Weather Extra will be tonight at 9:30. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. He'll be back here in the CTV Center, and he'll have all the latest for your 3-day weekend. So not going to want to miss that. That is for sure. But speaking of weather, cleanup is still ongoing following the May 20 tornadoes. Yesterday, 48's Nick Ballinger went down to Madison, which saw an EF2 tornado touch down Tuesday night. Let's take a look at the cleanup efforts out there.
The devastation that hit a Madison family can be summed up by what's behind me, but it's the spirit of this community and the family inside that's holding up what is now a metaphorical roof over their head.
So you can see where it's starting to, that's where it's going to come apart.
As Marcy Kennedy sorts through what memories and belongings can be saved from her home.
It has all my kids' books that my grandsons and my kids had read over the years. So I'd like to keep these books.
Tuesday night's EF2 tornado and what it took from her family plays through her mind.
And he's like, looks up. He's like, we've lost the roof. Yeah, it's pretty dramatic when you look at it right here. And in my art studio got it the worst. That was stunning. I was hysterical. It was just like horrifying. It's like, oh my gosh, because it's like I said, it's such a dramatic change.
Now, her main focus is salvaging what she can.
There's no rail right at this landing by purpose because they're going to need to be able to get the furniture out. So we're in a race against the weather. Water's going to take all this and it's going to throw it down because it's going to rain again. And I have this marvelous sunroof.
She may have lost her roof, but not her sense of humor.
And this is for tanning, when you need to tan.
Oh my goodness.
Your bathroom.
It's her positive attitude that shines a light on a dark situation.
You're having fun with it because it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone.
But it's her neighbors who are putting aside the damage of their own to lift up this family piece by piece.
They're here to help, and they're wanting to get this done because this is somewhere where they can do something that makes a difference right now. And God is good, and He's making this into something. And if it's just that we're all getting together right now and we're working together, it makes a tremendous difference.
Kennedy tells me a friend has offered them a place to stay while they try to clean up what's left of their lives inside this home. But she says she's going to rebuild no matter how long it takes. In Madison, Nick Ballinger, 48 News, on your side.
And now moving out to the Sand Mountain region to the community of Union Grove. 48 Savannah Sapp reports on that storm damage.
Standing right next to the root ball of a 100-year-old tree that collapsed, narrowly missing a home here in Union Grove. And just for reference, I'm about 5 feet 7 inches tall, and you can tell this nearly quadruples my height. We're estimating it's about 20 feet tall. And that's what David Black saw when he walked out onto his porch following Tuesday night's storms. He tells me he was inside listening to the rain and thunder when he thought he just heard his smaller trees falling.
I heard the pecan tree at the corner of the deck when it went down. I said, oh Lord, I know what that is.
But when he stepped out of his home, the 100-year-old oak tree his grandfather planted generations ago was taken down with the others. Black says he and his siblings spent many days and nights beneath the tree.
This is a big part of history. Down. I mean, there's not a lot of things standing now that's over 100 years old.
The storms also wreaked havoc by knocking down his pecan trees that were roughly 30 years old. One of his trucks and his boat, unfortunately, were crushed by falling branches and limbs, but his home and his garden of peach trees and muscadine vines were spared.
I've always said God has a hedge of protection over me and this property. I've always said that, and this is proved to be true.
And Black tells me while it will be tough to see this 100-year-old oak tree being cleared from his property, his family will be assisting him in doing that over the next couple of days. Reporting in Union Grove, Savannah Sapp, 48 News, on your side.
And also in the Sand Mountain region this afternoon, we just learned and we got confirmation from the National Weather Service that 2 EF1 tornadoes officially touched down in the Sand Mountain region, one in Jackson County and the other in DeKalb County, in the Trenton area in Jackson County, and as well as Crossville. You can find all the tornado confirmations on our website right now. Just go to WAFF.com, and we'll continue to keep you updated as soon as we learn more. But now turning over to a story out of Decatur, where earlier today we learned that City Council President Jacob Ladner will not seek re-election. Now, the current Decatur City Council President announced today that he will not be running as District 5 councilman. Ladner's district is mainly between Beltline Road Southwest and Gordon Terry Parkway. The election is set for August 26th, with a runoff, if necessary, on September 23rd. And today we also learned that Senator Tommy Tuberville is expected to announce his run for Alabama governor. The Associated Press reports that 2 people who are close to the Alabama senator have spoken with him about his plans. They say they expect him to announce a bid. Now, Tuberville has not confirmed the plans, but did tell the AP that he intends to announce a decision on Tuesday. Now, of course, we'll be following and we'll keep you updated with the latest as we learn more. But now, coming up after the break, we'll go through a few stories in case you missed them out of the Shoals, upgrades to a jail out there, and highlighting a good Samaritan in the community. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, the time has ticked down. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now moving out to the Shoals with a few stories in case you missed them. 48's Aria Pons reports on upgrades coming to the Lauderdale County Detention Center. Let's take a look.
The Lauderdale County Sheriff and Director of Corrections here led me through the jail to see upgrades such as new locks placed on all of the doors, new windows, and a new digitalized system to keep up with day-to-day functions here at the jail.
I came in with the mindset of I want to make a difference in the community at whatever job I do, and that is here. So if I can save one person, then it's worth it. If I can keep one person from coming back to jail, then to me that makes it all worth it.
Director of the Lauderdale County Detention Center, Matt Burbank, says he spent his first year on the job making improvements around the jail. Improvements like the Guardian program, a new digital way for corrections officers to keep track of inmates.
When an officer walks by a cell, there's a tag you will see inside. They can scan that tag, and there's just little keywords they can select. There's a little block there they can check that we can go back and we can access and print that log out.
Burbank and Sheriff Joe Hamilton also had new locks installed on cell doors. Burbank says the old locks could be popped open using silverware. He and the sheriff have also hired a new social worker to help the inmates.
We're able to take somebody who entered jail in a really bad spot, and hopefully as they transition out of jail, they are in a better spot. They've got some health insurance, they're on their way to treatment, and they're able to take care of themselves and hopefully have a little bit of a better future.
Jennifer Fowler says she works with the justice system to figure out what each inmate might need depending on their qualifications.
The most important thing to have in a jail is safety and security.
So far, Fowler says she's helped around 200 inmates. Reporting in Florence, Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
And finally, ending the week off right with this incredible story of a Good Samaritan in Russellville who helped pull a woman out of a burning home. Aria Pons has the story.
I'm so thankful to be alive. I mean, it's a blessing. I stared death in the face.
On February 9th, Sharon Steen was at her home when she saw sparks coming from an outlet. Before long, the recliner beside her caught on fire.
The flames were going so fast that it was causing glass to break. I could hear sounds popping. The smoke alarm was going off.
Sharon, who has difficulty walking, says she had to flop on the floor to try to get away from the flames. As flames intensified around her, she almost gave up until her husband Audie got home just in the nick of time.
I walked up the ramp, opened the door, and fire just shot out. It was like it was coming after me.
Audie says as soon as he heard his wife call his name, he knew he had to jump into action. He grabbed the water hose from outside and started spraying everywhere he could. He didn't know how else to help, but he did know one thing for certain. He was not leaving Sharon behind.
So you would have stayed in there with her till the very end?
Without a doubt. I love her.
That's when Sharon's guardian angels appeared.
And they just pulled me out. They did not get a touch of flames on them. And I honestly believe, and I know this is going to sound hokey to some people, but I honestly believe that they were angels of God.
Sharon says a retired firefighter and his son, who's a volunteer firefighter, heard the call on the radio and ran to help. Neither were wearing any gear. They just knew they needed to help. That's why Russellville Fire Department decided to surprise Rodney McAnally Sr. and Rodney McAnally Jr. with a Good Samaritan Life-Saving Award. It was also the first time they all got to see each other again.
I thanked them and hugged them, and I told them I loved them.
Aria Pons, 48 on your side.
Wow, truly a terrifying situation there, but that is so great. And that is the good side this week. I hope you all have a great weekend. That is it for today's Before the Four. Have a great 3-day weekend. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.